And so now we'll move on to the key points and discussion questions. And who would like to read that, the next two paragraphs?
I'll read it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Venita.
Sure. Chapter 8. I know people have always gotten married and had kids, but now there's nowhere to go, nothing to do. A couple gets married, and if they're lucky, they get a room or a garage to live in, with no hope of anything better and every reason to expect things to get worse. Bianca's chosen life is one of my options. It's not one that I intend to exercise, but it's pretty much what the neighborhood expects of me, of anyone my age. Grow up a little more, get married, have babies. Curtis Talcott said the Iturbe family will get half a garage to live in after they're married. George's sister, Celia Iturbe Cruz, and her husband and baby have the other half. Two couples and not one paying job among them. The best they could hope for would be to move into some rich people's compound as a domestic servant and work for room and board. There's no way to save any money or ever do any better. Want me to continue?
Oh, yes, please. Thank you.
Sure. A. They say that the mind is not fully developed until age 25, and the brain's maturity extends well beyond the teen years. Question number 1. We see how innocence, extreme emotional swings, and the bullheadedness of youth lead to immaturity in life, altering decisions in the year 2050, 2025. Can you relate to the coming of age challenges in our story to young people today?
Does anybody have anything that they'd like to add to that answer to that question? This is a first. I've never heard anybody. Okay.
Well, I guess I would just say, really, the whole book is a coming of age story. And so when we get into this section of the book, we're starting to see, we've already seen in earlier chapters how just being a young person was frustrating for Lauren. And she wants to be older, and she wants to be able to go out and explore the world. But when we get to this chapter, we're starting to see the struggle with youth that Keith is having, and it gives us a bit of a window on the differences between how I guess the stereotypical male versus the stereotypical female kind of go through this maturing process. And so where Lauren kind of lays back and and recognizes that her time is coming, Keith can't handle it, so he's imploding.
The sibling dynamic was what stuck out to me this section of the chapter. How they all have the same upbringing. They all know that Keith is Corey's favorite, but they're all very different. And I think if you have siblings, that's definitely part of your coming of age story. It definitely is with me. So me and my sister are very close in age, but she's a middle child, and so she deals with things differently than the oldest, me as the oldest, and my brother as the baby does. I have two brothers. So before we found out about my other brother, she was the middle. And so just those interactions were very different, and I see that in the household in the story.
Yeah, definitely. And that reminds me with my brothers. I have three brothers and no sisters. and it was always amazing to me as an adult looking back how different we turned out. You know, we have the same parents. We essentially had the exact same circumstances growing up. Um, and even though, I felt like my mother loved her boys more than she loved me, and my brothers felt like my father loved me more than he loved them. We essentially had two loving parents, and but we came out to be really radically different people, and you could see those differences when we were young. And then it also made me think about when my son was growing up. Me being a feminist, of course, I wanted to uh, root out any inclinations toward patriarchal thinking or sexist thinking in him. I wanted to root it out at the root so that he would go off into the world being, really someone I could respect. But he taught me how much of an influence nature has on our development. So there's nature and there's nurture, and I did what I could do on the nurture end, but nature did what it was going to do. So.
Anyone else before we move on?
Yeah, I just add to Randie and Michelle. You're right, but I have siblings, and I have an older sister, and she's about 3.5, 4 years older than me. I have a younger sister that's about 7 or 8 years younger than me, and then my brother's the youngest, and I've always been the oldest. I've always had to take on the most responsibility, and the reason why I say I had to, because if I didn't, no one else was going to do it. And my older sister was always the younger one, and to the day she still has the younger mind. It's a lot of responsibility. Lauren reminds me of myself a lot. And we all, like I said, grew up in the same house, but it doesn't make a difference. You only children are only alone to you, and once they become adults and go out into the world, and depending on their experiences, they take on a whole new life. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Georgette, did you want to add anything?
Well, I just wanted to say that it's interesting how no matter what the situation is, you still have these two kind of characters. One is carefully planning and observing everything and learning from it, and the other one is just made up their mind that this is what I'm going to do emotionally, in sort of a knee-jerk reaction kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And if I'm trying to relate it to the young people of today, looking at young people in my house, they're kind of a combination of both of these things. I think because they have so much stuff coming at them, and they want to listen to, the responsible adults in their lives, but ultimately they're going to follow their interpretation of events and what they think is truth. Mm-hmm. So I think that's, just as you all were saying, what happened in your own families, your interpretation of what you thought your responsibility was supposed to be. And so between Keith and Lauren, they have totally different ideas about how they should be responsible.
I guess I was just going to say that today I find the kids are more impulsive than we were, or at least I was, because they have so much information coming at them, and all the information seems to want to be the authority. So I just find they run off heck more than I think is good.
Yeah, I guess I would just say You know, again, I think a lot has to do with your individual personality. I mean, look at Randie. You know, she doesn't strike me as the half-cocked type. You know, and I would imagine that even at Lauren's age or Keith's age, she was not, because you know there's just kind of something in us that's inborn, like Venita saying, her being the responsible sibling, and you know, and I was very responsible compared to my siblings. So I don't know. I mean, but the young people today, they certainly, you know, they certainly have some big challenges. So, um, you know, I'm not, I'm not sure who really has good advice to give them. Like I'm thinking about the sort of generational divides that we're seeing in movements like Black Lives Matter, and you know, and some of it I think is quite valid. So
I saw a T-shirt that someone had on that said, "This is not your mama's civil rights movement." That there was a young black woman, and she had on a T-shirt that said, "This is not your mama's civil rights movement." What is
well,
that?
it's not. No.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, it's really not. Um,
Hmm.
um,
Okay, so
anyway,
we'll move on.
I would suggest that no one in whatever era it is follows Keith's agenda. Uh,
He just wanted a gun. Oh my God, he was just like, "I need a gun."
yeah.
Hmm.
Wow.
I don't think it was much different, to be honest with you. It was a different time with different characters when I was growing up in the 70s. Instead of guns, they used knives, they stabbed people to death, they used chains, they used all kinds of other things to hurt and kill people. Um, the drugs that you see today, there were drugs then. There were young people fighting the establishment then, and the establishment first were your parents and some parents, and also the government. I just don't see where it's and it depends on where you grew up. Whether you grew up in the middle class neighborhood or whether you grew up in the ghetto, I don't see any distinct big difference, other than maybe the introduction of technology. Of course, that's more of a challenge for young people. But as far as the violence and the some of the attitudes, that was happening in the 70s. You know what I'm saying? I don't see, like I said, there's just different characters and different ways that things were done, but pretty much this history is just repeating itself.
Thank you.
I mean, that's what I see. But like I said, it depends on where you were, where you know, what your environment was and where you grew up. You know, I don't see um, a huge contrast. My problem is I haven't seen anything change. It's the same thing. It's just different characters.